All right, let's just dive right into it. Look, if you've been agonizing over which AI model you should actually be using for serious professional work, you are definitely not alone. Here in 2026, the market is just completely saturated. We've got dozens of frontier models out there basically screaming for your attention. And honestly, picking the wrong one, it means wasted money, wasted time, and output that frankly just doesn't cut it. So today, we're cutting through all that noise. In this explainer, we're taking a definitive, under-the-hood look at the one that really kicked off the modern AI era, OpenAI's GPT-5, and its highly pragmatic, heavy-hitting upgrade, GPT-5.5. We're going to break down exactly what you need to know to make the absolute best purchasing and development decisions for your team.
Here's the roadmap for today. We're going to kick things off with the GPT-5 evolution, then move right into the architecture that changes everything. After that, we'll hit benchmarks and real-world use, tackle the pricing and critical limitations, and finally wrap it all up with the final verdict.
Okay, part one, the GPT-5 evolution. Let's get into it. You know, to fully grasp where we are right now, we've got to take a quick step back to that initial August 2025 release. When GPT-5 first launched, it was universally hailed as OpenAI's biggest leap since GPT-4. But the secret sauce wasn't just raw intelligence, it was the architecture itself. GPT-5 introduced this unified system. Under the hood, it basically acts like a super smart internal router. It dynamically shifts gears between a lightning-fast model for your everyday, run-of-the-mill questions and a much deeper reasoning model for those really complex head-scratcher problems. You don't even have to pick a mode. The model automatically figures it out based on how complex your prompt is. Think of it kind of like a senior consultant, right? Someone who knows exactly when to just give you a quick, straight-up answer and when to sit down, brew some coffee, and hand you a comprehensive 10-page analysis.
Which brings us to section 2, architecture that changes everything. Fast forward to April 2026, and OpenAI drops GPT-5.5. Now, internally, this was codenamed SPUD, which is kind of a funny name for something so powerful. But make no mistake, this was not just a minor iterative update. It's actually the first fully retrained base model since GPT-4.5. We are talking about a foundational rebuild from the ground up. And there are 3 core pillars to this new architecture that literally change the game for enterprise capabilities. We're looking at native omnimodality, hardware co-design, and self-improving infrastructure. Let's unpack these because they're absolutely crucial to understanding why this model is such a beast. So, first up is native omnimodality. Now, in the past, older models that could handle images, audio, and text, well, they were essentially separate models, just kind of Frankenstein together behind the scenes. Not anymore. GPT 5.5 is a single, unified architecture. It processes text, images, audio, and video end-to-end, all in one single pass. So why does that matter? Because for those messy, complex enterprise workflows where you're constantly juggling different document types, say analyzing a dense financial report side by side with a video of a quarterly earnings call, the processing is now incredibly seamless. No clunky handoffs. The second pillar here is hardware co-design. Generally speaking, larger, smarter models are notoriously slower to serve. It's just physics, right? But GPT 5.5 actually matches the blazing fast per token latency of its predecessor, GPT 5.4, even though it's significantly larger and way more capable. How did they pull that off? Well, it was co-developed directly with NVIDIA, specifically for their GB200 NVL72 rack-scale systems. These are essentially massive, highly optimized supercomputers crammed into a single rack. This partnership basically guarantees that this massive model maintains lightning-fast generation speeds, and if you're running heavy, demanding production environments, that speed is absolutely vital.
Okay, the third pillar is, and I don't use this word lightly, unprecedented. Self-improving infrastructure. Get this, before it even officially launched, GPT 5.5, working alongside Codex, actually analyzed weeks of live production traffic to rewrite OpenAI's very own custom load balancing code. Think about that for a second. By autonomously optimizing its own deployment infrastructure, it boosted its token generation speed by over 20%. I mean, this is literally the first documented case of a frontier AI stepping in and improving the very system that deploys it. Mind-blowing stuff. All right, let's move right into section 3, benchmarks and real-world use. So let's look at the hard data. On Terminal Bench 2.0, which, if you're not familiar, tests autonomous command line workflows, planning, and actual tool use in a real terminal environment, GPT 5.5 takes a commanding lead. It hits an 82.7%, while its closest rival, Claude Opus 4.7, is lagging way behind at 69.4. That is a massive 13-point gap.
What's the takeaway here? If you're a developer building DevOps agents, CI/CD pipelines, or you're running unintended terminal automation, the numbers don't lie. GPT-5.5 is going to dominate those workflows for sure. Next up, check out this staggering 74% score on the MRCR V2 long context retrieval benchmark. This is essentially the ultimate needle in a haystack test, scaled all the way up to 1 million tokens. To really put that into perspective, the previous version, GPT 5.4, scored just 36.6% on this exact same test. It literally doubled its accuracy in a single release. This kind of generational leap means you can finally throw multi-year financial filings, massive legal briefs, or entire code repositories at it in one single request. No more tedious chunking of your data. But hey, to be perfectly objective here, we've got to look at where the model doesn't take the crown. Let's look at the SWE Bench Pro benchmark, which specifically tests repository-level software engineering. Here, Claude Opus 4.7 actually still beats GPT 5.5. Claude pulls a 64.3% against GPT 5.5's 58.6%. So if your team's primary focus is hunting down bugs across a massive, highly complex code base or doing systematic repo-level code reviews, Claude is absolutely still the leader in that space. All right, let's take all these abstract benchmarks and ground them in some real-world reality. For instance, NVIDIA engineers have been using this model's agentic coding capabilities to slash their debugging cycles from literally days down to mere hours. There's actually a story of one engineer who asked GPT 5.5 to completely re-architect a comment system, and the model kicked back a near-complete 12-diff stack that was basically flawless. We're also seeing it match or even outperform human experts in multi-domain knowledge work across 40 different occupations. It's dominating long document analysis, and get this, it's even actively contributing to scientific research, like verifying a really complex, long-standing mathematical proof about asymptotic Ramsey numbers. It is just a remarkably versatile tool when put into practice.
Okay, let's get down to brass tacks in Section 4, Pricing and Critical Limitations.
It's time to pull back the curtain on the financial realities of this model, and brace yourselves because there's a bit of sticker shock here. As of April 2026, the API pricing for GPT 5.5 sits at $5 per million input tokens, and a surprisingly steep $30 per million output tokens. That literally doubles the output rate of GPT 5.4. For anyone out there managing a tight IT budget, seeing those numbers pop up on a spreadsheet is going to cause an immediate headache. However, the whole cost-benefit analysis here is actually pretty nuanced. Sure, Claude Opus 4.7 is cheaper on paper, running about $25 per million output tokens. That translates to a $50 difference for every 10 million tokens. But here's the kicker. Look at the efficiency. OpenAI claims GPT 5.5 uses roughly 40% fewer tokens to complete the exact same tasks. Because of this incredible agentic efficiency, the model tends to just get complex workflows right the very first time. So if you're significantly reducing the number of task retries, your complex workflows might actually break even, or you could even come out ahead financially, despite that really high base rate. But listen, price is not the only concern we need to talk about. There's also the timeline. Just look at this, frankly, dizzying release cadence. GPT-5 launched in August 2025. Then, bam, GPT 5.4 dropped on March 5th, 2026. And just 6 weeks later, April 23rd, we get GPT 5.5. Now, rapid innovation is great and all, but this breakneck pace introduces some major long-term architectural risks for developers. Think about it. What you spend your time and budget building on GPT 5.5 today might require a massive overhaul again in just a few short months. It makes predictable engineering incredibly difficult. We also need to be totally upfront about the model's operational limitations. First off, high prompt sensitivity. Independent testing from CodeRabbit showed that GPT 5.5 interprets poor or vague prompts way too literally. Instead of saying, hey, wait, this premise is flawed, it just blindly executes whatever you gave it. Second, as we touched on earlier, it is definitely weaker at repo-level code review when you stack it up against Claude. Third, those premium prices make it absolute overkill for light use. Seriously, if you just need to run simple API calls, save your money and use GPT-5 Mini. And finally, it's closed source and cloud only. So if your organization operates in data sovereign or highly regulated environments, this is pretty much a non-starter.
Let's bring it all home. Section 5, the final verdict.
We've looked at the underlying architecture, the benchmarks, and the very real costs. Now, let's draw a hard line and build a specific adoption checklist for you. You are going to see massive ROI if your team is actively building out agentic coding pipelines, if you're a knowledge worker autonomously doing complex multi-step research, or if you simply must process massive documents at that 1 million token context scale. But who should avoid it? Well, if you're working in an air-gapped or data-sovereign environment, stay away. If you're running high-volume, relatively simple API queries, definitely stick to cheaper alternatives like GPT-5 Mini or 5.4. And of course, if you're holding out for a free tier for this specific model, you're out of luck. It simply isn't available. So, as we wrap up, I really want to leave you with this question to chew on. Is GPT 5.5 the missing link that will finally unlock your next impossibly complex workflow? Or is it just an overpriced tool for the job you actually need to do? Look, it is undeniably a top-tier, heavy-hitting agentic AI for multi-step professional workflows right now. But it demands incredibly high-quality prompts, it comes at a premium price point, and as we've seen, it's just not the right tool for every single job. You've got to evaluate your own tech stack, weigh these hard benchmarks against your specific needs, and make the choice that drives actual value for your team. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep learning.